everyone. So if you're a subscriber, I am currently running an ad. So we're gonna start right after it finishes. Thank you so much for subscribing and supporting the channel. Yeah, so you're just running an ad. So when it's done, we are gonna just start the stream. Some weird stuff is happening to the setup. Hey Copter, so I have to restart my setup because some weird stuff are happening. Cool. Thank you for subscribing, Copter. And you tested a bug for us. Thank you for subscribing. You just tested a bug that we had. So I am having issues. I'm not sure if I'm having issues pulling up the stream. So give me a second. Yeah, thank you for subscribing, Copter. We have a bug now. So you triggered a bug by subscribing. So thank you for doing that. For some reason, I'm having trouble with the stream itself. Like it's not doing what I want. So I hope you guys could hear me. Okay, I think that's good. Cool. So let's go here and see if we still have any issues. But it was loading very slowly and it's like doing some weird stuff. Copter, thank you for resolving. So we just need to make sure that we fix this bug here. So let's see. We also have to refresh our alerts. Here. Cool. Again, Copter, thank you for resolving. Okay. So we crash because we tried to access a new pointer when Copter subscribed. So we might have like a bug somewhere that we're trying to access information that we shouldn't be accessing. So we should fix that. But first, let's get this running. Okay. So what we're doing today is just continue working on some of the stuff that we were working on yesterday, which was refactoring some of the commands. For example, I added support for some new commands. I added way for us to dynamically add more commands. So for example, we have Discord. So maybe this works. Yeah. So we have a bunch of new commands that we could use. And the next thing we're going to be working on today is letting moderators add their own commands. So I'm going to be adding a new command that adds commands to the chat, to the bot itself too. So for example, Copter could, since he's a moderator, he's able to add new commands. Wait, I think Copter is still a moderator. Yeah, so Copter is a moderator, so he's able to add new commands as well. We just have to figure out why we crashed before. So line 64. Oh, okay, so this is the issue. We're doing new file. This is wrong. But yeah, that's kind of what we're going to be working on today. And the reason why we crashed is because I had so in line 64, I had it. I had new follower when it's supposed to be new subscriber, and that's why it crashed. So we have that there. One thing I didn't check when we were working on this, because I think we never finished it. I don't think we update the header when there's a new subscriber. Yeah, we don't update the header when there's a new subscriber. So we just have to redo this again. We have a new event that we're triggering. So we just need to find what that event is. But that means if we have any subscribers during the stream, we won't be able to see it. Where was it? Oh, refresher. And we have to go back to our event API, so we can post this. And we want this one here. So we just have to listen to two events now. So we're listening for a new follower, and we're listening for a new subscriber. So thank you again for subscribing, Copter. Also, I believe Slater resubscribed too. So if he's watching, thank you for resubbing. Okay, so that would do it. And then we have to go to our overlay here, and we have to refresh it. So it has like all the different necessary changes. Cool. Yeah, so thank you again for resolving. Okay, so that fixes this crash here. So because Copter resubscribed, we were doing some weird stuff. So when he resubscribed, it crashed our overlay server. So that's fixed now. And the reason why it was a crash was because we were using the wrong variable. We were using new follower instead of new subscriber. So that will help a lot. Cool. So for today, what we're doing is I ended up fixing our test. The logic that we're using for testing, I ended up fixing it yesterday night. So now we have all the different messages that we get from the messages. I also noticed that there was a weird case, weird bug. Well, it's not even weird. It's like when the bot itself replied with these messages, it tried to run the commands too because they started with those lines. So what I did was I added a extra character at the beginning and a space, so we could do something like commands, and now we get all the messages, and it wouldn't go and try to trigger as a like an event or something like that. Cool. So what we need to do now is we are going to just add some testing to this. And the way I'm thinking, so we don't need any of this for now. So I'm going to change this to, I'm going to give it a different name. So I'm going to rename it to star. Okay. And then here we could just do okay. So we could just, the way I was thinking about it is a way for us to take all the different messages, so all the tag, yeah, so we're like all the different messages that we're getting and append them to a slice, and then we could use that slice to go on and be able to match if the messages that we're getting are part of different messages that we want. So it's mostly for the testing. So the one that we're testing here is just a help command. The thing I want to do, I need to figure out a way to know Oh, I know how. Okay, so we could use. We could know how many. We could check how many commands are inside of our. So we could do. Let's see if this works. So we could check the map and how many commands are inside of the map to know how much we should wait for. So we could do. Let's see. So we want commands that. Commands, I think. Yeah. So now we have commands, and we could use length to just figure out how much stuff we have there. And we could just use this information to know. Well, let's close this. Okay. We're gonna test just make sure that it works correctly. Okay, so there's only two commands, so that is very helpful. So the way it will work, I'm gonna create a new variable. It's gonna be total messages. This is how many messages we expect it to send. So it's 3. So we have 1, 2, and 3, and it's 2 commands and then the hey. And so we have the hey, and then we have our channel, right? So here we could do if total messages is equal to 0, then we break. So then we just do total. So we're gonna reduce it every time we go through it and there's a message. And then we're gonna block. Okay, so we're blocking here until we get a message. So we're blocking here until we get a message, and then I'm just gonna print it to see how it looks. And that means when we get to 0, when we get to 0, now we are able to, to just end the for loop. So we have a for loop that's gonna run. It's gonna wait for a message. When we get 4 messages, 3 messages, we then are gonna leave. And now we just need to save the messages. So we know that we're gonna get 3 messages. So we could use the size to create a cap on our internal array. And the reason why I didn't set it as a length of the array is because I need to keep track of the keys, and I don't want to keep track of the keys. So we could just use append here. So here we could do. Oh wait, we could just store the whole thing, because at the end of the day we're gonna use. We are going to use just end up just turning into JSON, so that we can just do a comparison there. so we are appending it there. And for now, I'm gonna just turn to JSON. So let's find a place where we are doing that. I think we're doing it inside of the Twitch test cases, so we could just use that there to use it. Yeah, so we have this function here that's doing most of the work for us. So I'm just gonna take this function here. And we need a flag. Oops. Okay, so we have the flag. And this flag lets us just tell this function here to auto updates, to update the file if it doesn't match. So we're going to be using that. And then here we just wanted to test all the files, and we could do file that we want. So we're gonna do test data, and we're gonna call it this is what we're expecting. And then we pass receive messages, and then we pass our test line to it. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. And go back here and we rerun it. It's gonna complain because the file that we want is not there, so I'm just gonna create an empty file. Okay, and we run it again. It's gonna say that it doesn't match because we got an empty command there. So if we do update, our test starts passing there because we just updated our test file. So this file that we created here now has the correct information. So it has like the different messages and things like that. And because we are using our account, is missing some information with like badges and everything else, but we don't need that information because it's our self-responding. So the way it works is that copter, we're using the message that copter sent, which has all the information about our copter and then the command that he's running. So he's running commands. And since he's running commands, then you're getting a response back of what we are expecting. And then we're using that information to then create our result for our test. So we're pretty much using something in that a lot of people in the Go community uses, which is golden test files. And the idea is that you have this file that doesn't change during test runs, that takes the you take the output of a function, you save it to a file, and then every time that the function you convert the output. You always convert the output and you compare it against the file that you just saved, that you have saved in your repo, and then you see if there are any difference between the file and the output of the method, which is kind of cool. So in our case, we did that. So we're inputting this into a function, and then our function for commands is returning this information here. It's kind of what we're doing. And okay, so let's try another test. So the next step which you write is, so we have and we could reuse this more. So let's just turn this into a table-driven test. Let's see if we could find a sample. Oh, we did that before. Okay. So this is the right structure. So if, by using table join tasks, you just constantly reuse the same method. So we could change this. We could change the name for it and just be like commands. Okay, so the way it works is we're gonna pass a input file name, which is a string, then an output file name, which is a string. And the first test we want to run is so we have maybe let's just so the first one is this one here. That's a file name, and then I'll be a bit too much, but I will remove it later. So then we want to run. We wanted this to be the output file name. Okay. And then here, cool. So this is how our test and cells will look like. We are going to pass a input file name, and then we're going to use that. We're going to do that there. Oops. So we're going to use print this one here. There. So test dot input file name. Okay, so that's our input file name. And then for our output, we're pretty much going to do the same thing here. Okay, so yeah, we're going to do the same thing here where we take here. And we're gonna replace most of this. So I'm using it's called Alacrity, which is like a GPU terminal that is reading Rust. So I'm using, this is a terminal I'm using. So it's like really cool. So it's reading Rust, and it's like the only downside is like it's mostly you have to use tmux with it. That's kind of the only downside of it. But then pretty much everything else, it's super fast. And if you want to see some more my configuration, you can check my DAW files. Yeah. So yeah, I used to use iTerm too, but I stopped using after a certain point because it was lagging with BM a lot. So for some reason, when I used to scroll, like when I was scrolling, it would just lag. So I moved to using this new terminal, and I had better luck with it. The cool thing is like it runs on Windows and it runs on Linux as well. So if I'm using Mac, I could take all my settings and start using it somewhere, like in Linux or Mac. That's the reason why I like it so much too. Cool. Here. Yeah. So that's kind of why it looks different. But yeah, I like it that I could just take it to the settings and use it somewhere else. Okay, something what I did here. You're very welcome. Cool. So we have this working now where we could just run our tests. So we could add a new file by just passing the update flag, but we could just keep running this test and then we just continue passing. And now the next one we need to test is the so command. So we could try that out. So to do that, we are just gonna create a copy of that message. So we're gonna reuse this message, and we're gonna change some of the permissions that our test user has. So okay, so we are gonna just change this to be. And the interesting part about this one is that we could test different pieces of it. So the first part is that if we just do this wouldn't work. So we might need to rename this. So we were missing the user for that one. Okay, so this is one of our tests. Okay, so we are going to go back to commands. Oh, thank you so much, Outer Food. Let me know if you have any questions or any comments. Okay, so we now have, this is our input, and this is the output. So we are just gonna call this result. Okay, so this is kind of how table-driven testing works in Go. Is you have an array, and the only thing you have to change is like what the input and the output of the test cases. And since most of the data that we're passing and the messages we're passing are pretty much the same in the structure-wise, we could just reuse this function as much as you want. So in this case, I'm just gonna be adding more files with different test cases, and then we're just gonna run through it. So here, now that we have that, we could just rerun it. It's gonna fail because we don't have a file. Okay, so first of all, it failed because Copter. Wait. Oh, one thing that I'm missing is it's helpful to add the name of the test. So if you add a name for the task, you know which task is the one failing. So at least for the table driven. So here I'm just gonna do help command. And then here I'm gonna just do so command. And since we're doing that, we need to now use so the Go test package as a way for us to handle most of these things. So we could do test that name. So the run function just gonna run it all the tests separately. It takes a function that has a t argument that is a t type, and then we just need to close this. Okay, so now the way it's gonna work is that, so yeah, the way it's gonna work is that now we have a trun, and trun we are calling a method called run, which takes a name of the test and then a function which then has the test inside of it, and then we could figure out why this is failing. So the one that is failing, so our test for this one here is passing. The one is failing is because Copter doesn't have the right permissions. So the line 53 is the one failing. Oh, sorry, 54. Okay, which is true. In this case, the reason why it's failing is well, in this case, I think Copter does have the right permissions. Because I gave moderators access to that message. Oh wait, he is not a moderator. Okay, so that's kind of the issue. He's not a moderator, so he is just returning an error. So he has, so we're looking at titles. He only has one title. So we could just fake his permissions here. Or we could just use this as a test case too. If someone doesn't have, we don't want, so this is mostly around building the permissions. So we don't want people that don't have permissions to be able to add commands. So we have missing user. This one is just also, just copy it. So let's just create a new one and just call it missing permissions. So Copter doesn't have permissions, so that's nice. In this case, because we could test it, right? So in this case, we could be, we could say we are expecting him to So we're expecting him to not have permissions. We don't expect a result. And then I'm gonna add a new one here, which is like we're expecting an error to happen. So we could do error message, just a string. And here we could say, so this is the one that's failing. So we could be like, we are expecting an error. So if error oh, hey Will, Cool. Thank you so much for that 195 bits. I mostly appreciate it. Now you have the #1 spot too. Thank you so much for the bit. I mean bits. Okay, so now we're testing for the error. So we need to put an error message. And here we just gonna we don't need to do anything here. So we get here and if test that error message not empty, and then test that error message thank you for the hydrate SSB. Oh wait, the chat overlay is off. Let's turn that on. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So here we are just testing. We want to make sure that the error that we're getting sorry, Copter. So Will has now the vid donation leadership here. Okay, so here we just need to double check this. So this one's gonna be a long one. So if error is not nil and test that error message is not empty and test that error message is not equal to error message, then we just return. We are just gonna fail here. Like we expected an error and the error that we got didn't match. Now it's your time, Copter. Now is your time to not donate bits, but use this anger to promote other people to subscribe. Okay, expected an error, but error message didn't match. So what we got? And what we wanted. You will be back. Okay. I didn't want that. Okay. I think that would do it, so we could try it out. Okay, so we're running our test. This is a bit weird. So we are getting this error here. Oh, okay, so this is kind of messed up, so we don't need this. So if we get an error and error equals this. Okay, so we're just saying here we're not expecting an error here. Okay, and then line 57 is this one here. Okay, and the error that we're getting is failed to parse. Oh wait, there's so much. And then we don't want all of this logic down here to run, so we are just gonna... Oh, we could just join some of these things. So if it's not empty, we want to check error. No. Well, we're expecting an error, so if error equals nil, we could just return a fatal message and just like respecting an error. Okay, so if there's an error, we're gonna just trigger end up respecting an error, and that will return. And then the next one that we need to do is this one here. Which then says, okay, and so we're saying that if the test errors don't match, the messages don't match, we're gonna return an error, and then oops, we are just gonna return here. There's nothing else to do. If we are expecting an error message, we don't want to run anything below that this part here. This is kind of the cool part of table test driven, is that you could just start expanding more and more the error messages and things like that. Okay, why are we getting a bunch of new? So we got a bunch of, like, we get a new line or something in there, so we just have to get rid of it. Where am I adding a new line? Oh, I shouldn't add a new line here. Yeah, that was a mistake I was making. Cool. So now our that test is passing. So the test that we're testing is that the input that we're putting into our command line tool is that Copter doesn't have permissions to be able to use this so command. So the shoutout command. So he doesn't have permission to use it, so we are just going to create a new one. So the next one we need to do is that now that he has permission, so we just need to give him permission. Okay, so to give him permission, we are just going to create a title. So, and we're going to say, so we are just going to give him a moderator title. Okay, so he has now a moderator title, so I wonder if this is going to break. And we are just going to use this here and add it as a test case. I'm going to change the title to no permissions. So he doesn't have permission to use a command, so we can test that one there. And this one is add user. Okay, so let's see what happens when we run this one. Okay, so it got stuck. Why did it get stuck? Wonder if it's because it's missing the pictures. That might do it. So I'm just gonna copy some of the pictures. So it might just be like the pictures are missing and it doesn't know what to do. Because it depends on the images. And then we can make him a moderator. So we're now using images here. So we're now using the badges images, so we could just change these files much. Yeah, I don't understand why it's getting stuck. Maybe it's just because the response is missing. That is weird. But the missing user one is not doing anything. So let's see why. Oh, I know why. It's because of the count of messages. So we need to keep track of how many messages we're expecting. So we could do something like so we need to tell it how many messages we're expecting. So here we're expecting 0. Here we're expecting 4. Here we're expecting only 1. So that was kind of the issue. The issue was the main issue is that each command has different number of tests of replies. So we were just assuming we were just assuming that we were gonna use just the help command, and the help command has a set number of commands that it will always return. In the case of the shoutout command, it will always gonna return only one message. So is it 1? We just run into weapons. Yeah, so that means that we would never leave the for loop, and that's why it was blocking forever. Okay, so we need to check how many messages are in here. Oh wait, nice. Wait, what was it? Oh, commands. Okay, so then we can just write out. Okay, so it has 2, so instead of 4 is 3. And that's kind of why. Okay, and then that looks way better. So we're expecting 1 command here. We're expecting 3 messages here. We're not expecting any here because it's gonna fail. But then we're expecting 1 here. And then we just we need to create our test file. So now run this, and it's gonna fail because it's gonna be like there's nothing in our test file, in our in our output file, so it's gonna fail. So now if we just use the update flag, we are gonna get something here saying that the username is missing. So that's kind of what we are going to see in the chat as well. So if we try that in the chat right now, it should do the same. So if we do something like wait, is it still running? Nope, because it crashed. Oh, it doesn't know how to handle. Oh, so it doesn't know how to handle cleaning up the messages. So that might be something that we have to fix. So before someone was spamming. Up to you. I wouldn't. You could just continue making me drink water. Okay. So I have to add that to do. So we have a bug where it doesn't know what to do when we clear a message, it doesn't know what to do. That's one of the cool things is that we could test this in real time, right? Sorry, I'm making an issue. Great, so when we delete someone's message from the chat, we crash. So this is how it looks. Failed to parse message because of invalid token. So the issue is that we don't know how to handle the clear message. So we need to figure out how to handle that. So something that we could fix. And I probably should rewrite this because it's advertising the spam that the moderators deleted. But we're not able to, we should figure out how to handle this. Okay, so now that that's working, we could test this command again. Okay, so this is a command. So this is what it returns when there is no user. We do something like we do a will. We just remove the add symbol. It just says that you need to have it just because we need to make sure it's a real user. So we could do a chapter, and then we could see that happening. So okay. So those are the different cases. So we're testing first is the missing user. Should probably rename this to missing user. Okay. So we have missing user, and then we just need to do one that just has a valid user. So this means that we just tested every single case that we had for this command. So we have missing user, we have not having permissions to be able to run the command. The last one is just making sure that command itself works. And for this one, I'm just gonna copy this one here to just JSON. Okay, and then we're just gonna create an empty file for it. So test. Maybe one thing that we should do is update that function that we're using to create to. Well, it's not very often. So the function itself right now fails if we don't have a file for it. So it looks something like this when we run it. Wait, oh, I didn't save it. Yeah, it fails because there's nothing there. Oh, I copied the wrong one. Okay, so the reason why it's failing is because I copied the wrong structure. So we want this one here. Okay, yeah, we want a missing user. And we're gonna put it here. Okay, so that will fix it. And that's why so the reason it was failing is because I used the wrong structure for it. Why did it pass? There's no file for it. Okay, so for some reason it's passing when it. Yeah. Oh wait, it's here. But because I copy it, let's just make it empty for now. And this is not the message respect, so we need to add a user in there. So for this. Okay, so for this one here, we are just gonna have to just go manually and add a command. So, and here we are just gonna do that. Okay. So instead of getting this message here, we should get just like a regular message, which is the one that we post in channel. Yeah. And it should be this message here. And then we just have to do that update. And that means that our test case now has the right information, so we could just run all the tests here, and it should pass. And we don't need this anymore. So that's kind of what we're trying to do there. Okay, so the final one is dynamic tests. So, sorry, dynamic commands. So we have a way for us to have commands inside of our files. So we have, for example, here we have our Discord URL. That means that the moderators are able to add commands like this. So if we want to give access to moderators to add command to our if we want to give them access to our commands, we have to figure out a way to modify this file. So they will be able to add a command, and then they should be able to remove a command too. So we need to figure out how to structure this. A command has the command itself. So in this case, Discord, it has the description, and then it has a message. So we just need to figure out how to give the moderators a way to pass that information. So maybe let's just do dynamic commands first. like add a test for it. Oh, we could check our coverage. So let's do that. Okay, so our test coverage. I don't think we're using any of these structures, so we might want to delete those. So this is us starting. So we're doing that. We're not checking for errors here. So like if a command is missing, you should get an error. We're not checking if there's an error sending the message to the Twitch SaaS server, which is okay. We are checking the main commands we have. Yeah, so we're not checking the dynamic commands, right? So commands that we want to be able to pass. Dynamic commands are commands that are part of our configuration file, and then we just need to edit that configuration file. In our case, we could just fake it. So in here, we are just passing an empty conf. And again, we could just continue just adding things to our Mac. So we could do conf, and in here, we could just do run a pointer of config. Yeah, so we can just keep editing our table tests. So it will look something like this, because we don't want to do anything fancy here. We will add it here too. We add it here. Oops. And I'm just going to add it to all our test cases, and then I'll create a new one that has information. So what I did right now is that I had to go back and add it to all of them, to all the test cases we had already, just because I'm not using if you look at these structs here that I'm creating, I'm not defining the field name, so I have to go back and add any missing information. So it's kind of more direct. So here I'm able to add a new command. So I'm gonna add a new dynamic command. So it's gonna be so it's pretty much gonna match our example files. So let's see. So our sample file has a command for Discord, so we're just gonna use that for the testing. Okay, and to do that, we are just gonna do commands, which is a map with a string, a key, and then a string as a value. Is it a string? No, it's a command. Okay, that's it. No, it's not a command, it's a command config. Cool. Okay, so in here, there's a description. And there's a message. That's it. So the message is, yeah, so the message is what we're going to be returning back. Why doesn't it like it? Oh, I know why. So Discord, then okay, so that's kind of how it will end up looking like. And then we just copy some of these things. So the reason why this is considered a dynamic command is because it's not hard coded to the code base. It's the user is defining inside of a configuration file. So okay, so inside of our file, okay, so the description is what the help message, the command, exclamation command is going to return the message, the description message. If the user does exclamation point Discord, we are going to return, please join our Discord server. And that's kind of what we're expecting from the chat server. So the chat server should just return that information for us. And here, I'm just going to end up just copying this one again. And then we're going to go and just change the command that it's going to return. Yep. And in here, we are just going to return, we're going to send Discord. Just that. Okay, it's going to fail because the file is missing, so we are just going to create an empty one. We have an empty one. I think it's because it's wait. Oh, that was bad. I have to copy it again. Okay, so we are gonna. This is the one that we have to make an empty one. So. What I broke. Could it be that this code? Wait. Oh, I messed up the name. So let's see what I broke. So the input file is messed up. Wait, changed it. Okay, I think I changed it. Which command is one file? Oh, so the message that is getting back, not able to structure it correctly. So what I did. So Discord. Okay. I'm gonna have to recopy this. Copy as. We can just rerun it. something weird is happening. Okay, so we panic. I think I know why we panic. Wait. Oh, I see. I created a bunch of files in there, and that's why it's doing some weird stuff. Okay, this is the one. I was editing the wrong file, that's why. Okay, so I think that's working. I just need to double check our test directory because there's a lot of commands that... Yeah, so this one should be there. Okay, so that one shouldn't be there. This one shouldn't be here either. So I just ended up copying a bunch of files that we don't... Like, I was editing the wrong files. And that's why the test themselves were not running. Okay. There's still a bunch of these core ones. So, it's core message. So we don't need this one here. We don't need this one, so we need that one. We don't need this one either. Okay. Cool. On this again. It's gonna complain that the command is not. It's an invalid command. So the Discord command is invalid because we're not doing it. We're not changing it here. So here we could do test.conf. It's config. Yeah, and now when we create our command structure, it should have the command there. Okay, cool. So this is a message that is being returned from our chatbot, and this is what it's expecting. So that's why it failed. So again, we do update, and afterwards it should pass. Then we could just do coverage again. Okay, so we run it again, happen. Then we open our coverage tool. Okay, so we now are testing this part here, which is the one that's creating the actions. And since our commands our dynamic commands are very simple, there are only two pieces of data for them. So we have description and message. So that's pretty much the only thing we have to do here. Cool. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to add back two new commands. I want to add one for adding commands and the other one for removing dynamic commands. So we are going to just be changing the structure here. Sorry, we're going to have to move this to a different place. So we're going to add new commands, and the goal is to... We have to figure out the structure of the command. So okay, so we're going to be adding... The only issue with this one is that we're going to have to take a lock. because we don't want so description. And then for allow, we are only going to allow for now broadcaster and moderator. Okay, and then we need the action. So I have to, so the only issue that I have with this right now is that we have to copy and paste pretty much all of this. But it would be nice if I could just take this here. And that's what I should do. So I should take that and just somehow put it in here. And here, well, let's just create a, maybe we should just create a new function. So there's something like allow. And it takes a message, so we could take the message itself and then return an error. Okay, so we have the error itself. So return now here. Then we have wait, yeah, that it should work like this. So we are gonna go through here. We're gonna look through all the badges of message. Here we just do a has. So if they have the permission, we return true, and then we return. Okay. If has permissions, if you don't have the permissions, then we're gonna return an error. So this will error out, and that's kind of what we're gonna give back to the caller. Okay. And then we go back to here. So we go back to the main this function here. We could kind of get rid of, do something like roll. Allow, and then we just pass the message, and then we check if error. I could know. And this is supposed to be a pointer. That's why I'm getting that error. Okay, so allow. Cool. So that's kind of how it would look like in this case, right? It's like we're checking. So we have one function that does all the work, so we don't have to copy and paste it. So for our new command, we just have to take this piece here and add it here. So if someone that is not a moderator tries to add a command, we are just going to return an error. Okay, yeah. So I use the same one for my terminal. So it's called it's like this. Nope. Hold on. Give me a second. So this is what I use for my team.dat editor and the terminal. So this is the name of it. I think it has like a website I could go to. But if you use like something like iTerm, there is like a template for it. So for the terminal that I'm using right now, I ended up just making my own version of it. Okay. Cool. So for my terminal and for my editor, I use the same theme. So when I change back and forth, that's why it looks the same. Okay, so the goal of this command is to be able to add more commands. We need to figure out the structure of the command. So a command itself has two pieces. So it's gonna look something like this. So add command, then space, then the score, and the description, and then the message. So hey Slator, how's it going? Thank you for the hydrate. Thank you for keeping me hydrated. Okay, so nice. What was the issue that you were having with them? So we have, okay, I think this is best. So we're gonna use dashes to figure out when a description starts, and the action, the message starts. Oh, that sucks. So that happens to me with Discord. So when I plug in like a camera or another headphones, it just breaks it. Okay, so here, so we can test this out. So because now we have testing working, we can just add it here. I'm glad you figured it out. Okay, so only broadcaster and moderator are able to add commands. And here we are just gonna split the message. Here's the bad thing, it's like we don't have to split the messages more times. Because we need to split it by, oh, okay, we could figure it out. So let's figure it out. So we're gonna split the message by, so here, we're gonna split it by this here. by dashes, so the dashes is also going to be able to do it. And we don't need this. And we're expecting at least, so we have 1, 2, and 3. We're going to return an error saying the number of outputs so much. We could just send this message to the moderators. We could just print that back into it. So we're gonna send it back. So we're gonna use our client send message. So we're gonna send that back to the chat and be like, okay. So we're not returning an error here. We are kind of erroring out, but we are just sending a message back to the Twitch chat. So we should give an example. Okay. Wait. Figure that out. How to fix that. What I noticed was that we have a dash here. So in reality, we have only. So let's see. 1. So this is split. Let's see what happens. And we can just print it out. Cool. After this, I'm gonna take like a 3 to 4 minute break, but I'll be back. This shouldn't be running at all. So our tests are failing now because I'm doing something I shouldn't be doing. Oh, that's weird. Oh, I know why. So it was because we add a new command and that will break our next test. Okay, so if I run this, yeah, it's gonna break it. So we are gonna update it. And then we have to go back to our test and say that we are gonna be returning more than 3 commands. So we're returning now 4. So instead of 3 is 4. So that's kind of what is happening is that not 5, 4. Okay. Cool. So that should do it. Now we just want to trigger this command. So we want to copy over user, and we are gonna call it admin. So the this one here has the permissions that we need. So first we're gonna start with the permissions, and then we're gonna update it. And then we and we are gonna do the Discord. And we're gonna do the description. So description and then message. So that's kind of the how we're gonna add the commands. The commands themselves are gonna be when you use the @cmd, you're gonna pass a command, then you're gonna pass a description, and then you're gonna pass the message. So that's what we're gonna be doing. We're gonna close that out. Then we're gonna open our test again, and we're gonna add the new test to our list. So the goal of this command is to just let the moderators add new commands without having to ask me that they want to add a new command. So for example, if someone's asking a question and they want to add a command for it, for the answer, they can. And I wouldn't have to go and like start or stop the server. So that's pretty much the goal of this command. So I think that for now it's gonna be empty. So we see what is returning back. Okay. This file is missing because we never added it. So we are gonna just create an empty one. Then we can just run it again and see how it looks. Okay. And then if fail because something. Okay, what did he fail? Oh, it's because we closed the channel. Okay, so this is right. Well, that's not right. And it's not right because we don't know the right number. Update. So we have 1, 2, and 3, and is equal to 3. Wait, no, it has to be greater than 3. Greater or equal to 3, because the thing that happens if it's not. So it has to be greater than 3, because if it's not, for example, this one will break because it's 4. Some of them with the URL will break. So that's 3. It's still returning that one there. So, oh, not equal to. It's less than. If it's less than 3, it's the right one. Okay, so we don't get any message there. And then if it's successful, we are going to send a message saying command was added. So that's the response we're going to give back to we're going to send back to the Twitch server if it's successful. Okay, for context, for everyone that is just joining or just starting watching, we have a Mac server that Mac's the Twitch API, the Twitch chat server. So we are testing all these different commands and going through it, making sure that it works correctly by just going through and checking, just going through the response back that our Mac server is sending. So the response should be exactly the same one that the Twitch server will give us when we're running this in production, or not even production, where we attach it to the Twitch client server. So that's kind of what we're testing here. But yeah, so that's kind of we're never like doing this test. We're never pinging the Twitch API or chat server directly. Okay, so now we have the information that we need for building the command. So cool. So here, let's see. Okay, so here we need to split this by space because we have the command itself, which we don't need, but we also have this core, the command that we're going to be adding. So here we are going to say name, and we are going to just do strings that split, and we're going to split by space. So space, and we want 1. I think that's kind of this check thing that we should check. Let's do that. Here we are just passing message. So what we expect here, since we have to put some validation, is expect the length of this to be 2. So we have the add command itself, and then we do have the new command that we're adding. So we just need to make sure that there is 2 I think here I'm just gonna return back an error to myself, just being no, let's just return to the chat. Okay, so we're gonna say we are not able to parse the command name. So now we have here, we can check what this is. So this should be the command that we're adding ourselves. Oh, wait, this. It should be equal to 2, but let's see what. Oh, it's not 1, it's 0. So the first argument we get from our command is 0, so we should just use 0 there. So that's why it's failing. Yeah, so we were getting description when we're supposed to be getting this one here. And the check that we want is if it's greater, sorry, if it's less, if it's not equal to 2. So what is it equal to? Oh, why is it 3? Oh, there's a space. Because there's a space. So, okay, what is? Yeah, there's a space somewhere. And then it's causing it to be 3. So we should just trim it. we are going to use that strings. Wait, there is one that just streams. So I want to be careful I don't trim too much. So I think trim. We could try trim. So we just need to trim the end of the string. Okay, so hopefully this one doesn't remove our... we have a space in between. So if it works correctly... Yeah, we have space in between, so if it works correctly, we will not lose that space. But let's see what happens. Okay, so yeah, you removed it, and you removed the end space that we had. Yeah, so we are getting 2 again. Okay, that makes sense. Now our command is gonna be the command that the part of the string that we care about is and slice 1, which is a command. Okay, so that's the command name. And I think the other one that we need is the description. Just need to check how the description looks like. So I think it's 2. But we also have to trim it. So we have to trim the sizes of this side of it. So let's do that here. So this is gonna be a description. So nice. And then the message. So we're just streaming the size, the beginning and the end of the string, because we have extra information there that we don't need. Okay, so that means we could just build our own command. I wonder if there's a way to... Yeah, we could just reuse some of these things. Can we? We could probably just make a new function called a command, and it takes a message and a description, which is a string, and returns a pointer to a command. Then we could take pretty much all of this. Okay. it also needs to take the command name. In this case, I'm just gonna call it key or C. So all of those are strings. Okay, and then here, go back here, and we are gonna just do available commands and key. Then we're gonna do available command that it takes a key, takes a description. No, it takes a message, and then it takes the description. But I want to rename this command, so okay, I'm gonna take a 3-minute break. I'll be right back. Okay. Sorry, I was muted. Okay. So I need to check what is inside of the description, so to make sure that things are working correctly. I think the next thing we should work on is a way for me to know when I'm muted. So like, I think maybe OBS has a way for us to signals. But sometimes I don't notice that we are muted here. So that could be something cool to look into. Okay, so... Oh wait, why did I not get in the description twice? Oh, okay, that was like... I'm glad I checked. I think we should print back the message, the command that was added. So we could be like... So, description. So we're gonna print back the description, and then we're gonna print the message. So I will have to fix this in a bit, but I will do command name description, and this is mostly for us because then we could use this information as part of the test, right? So we could, when we start writing the test, we should spec this as the output. Okay. Discord description and the message. Now that, one cool thing we could do is we could add a command, like add a bunch of commands, and then we could then try out the commands and see what it replies. So we could try that as part of the test. I kind of want this to return the command too. So for now, I'm just gonna make it return the command. I think we could figure out a use case for it. The use case could be something like if you want to save it to somewhere. So right now it's just going to be in memory. And what this means is that every time we restart our server, it's just the command itself. Is any commands that were added during that time are going to be deleted. They're not going to be saved anywhere. So we need to save it in memory. We need to save it to a file in a bit. Okay. Cool. So for now we could just save it, and then so adding commands works. But now, if we wanted to just be able to test adding commands, so let's do that. So the message. I'm just gonna copy it and create a new one. So the goal will be to add a command, then trigger that command and see what we get back from it. So I'm gonna call this just gonna call it input. And if we go back to our tests, in our test we want to just what we want to do. We turn most of this into a function. I just end up copying this bar here. So we're gonna go here. And we're gonna create a test. Okay, so we are just going to be testing a command that we added. So we add a new command, and then we're going to check that we don't even need to check if the response matches what we want. We just want to check. We just want to check if it's just there, right? So we are going to add a new command here. I know this. Okay. So we're inputting a new command, then are going to parse it. Or the message itself. Error message, no. We're gonna parse it. Then if we get an error, we're gonna say we got an error. Oh wait. Okay. Get an error. Want to just fill the test because we shouldn't be expecting any errors here. And here we are just gonna pass anti-config. So we have ntconfig here. And now we kind of could do the same here again. So we are just gonna over, and we're gonna pass a new input file. So we add a new command. Oh, we added the Discord command. Let's do that. So what we're putting here is that someone said Discord message. So someone added a Discord message. And here, I'm gonna have to go up a bit. Expecting two messages. So print this out. So here we're gonna do print, see the outputs. So what we're testing now is we added a command dynamically, and we're expecting a response back from it. And I think we need to do so we need to get our channel so we can see all the messages. So client that message listener. Yeah. And then we have a channel, and we're just gonna print whatever goes into that channel. I think the channel will have two messages. The goal here is we're gonna add a command, and then we are so here we are adding a command, right? So we're sending a command. We're adding a command to our bot. Then here we are triggering that command. So the messages that we should get back are first the one that we added the command, and the second one is the command itself that we added, being the response of it. So you can check what we get back. That's the first one. Where is our second one though? It should listen over here. So so we're only getting one message, so I wonder what's going on. So it's one blocking. Oh, I wonder if the chat is like, am I reading it? Oh, I'm not parsing it. That's the issue. So I missed this part here. So I missed a part where the most important part is the one that's missing of this S. Yeah. So I think this should do it. Nope. Okay, why not? Okay, there we go. So this is not what we want. So we could compare it. So we could do the comparison again. Let's go up. We're gonna take this and we're gonna put it here. Stretch. Ooh. Thank you, SSP. Thank you for the stretch. Okay. Cool. So here we are gonna just, again, because we're putting the Discord, we're just triggering the Discord message. We already have a test. We have test information for it. We're just gonna check the result for it, and then here we are just gonna add this to the channel. Okay, so yeah, so we have this score, and this test to fail. Yeah, so this test is gonna fail just because it's failing because what we're getting back doesn't match what we want. So what we're getting back is weird because we're only getting description. Wait, why are we only getting description? Okay, so something is up with this test. So our message is wrong. So if we do a print and we do receive message to that message, the information we're getting back is wrong. Yeah, so I think my order is messed up. Yeah, it's messed up. The second argument is message. The third one is description. Okay, and then I have to go back to our new function to make sure that we didn't break anything. Okay, so here we have message. Okay, so that one's fine. That one's good. Okay, so here we're getting back message. But in reality, this is what we want. Maybe I should just go in up. So press message. Okay, so I have to update this one to add a real command to it. And the cool part of this command is two things. Okay, yes, two things. So this one has another dash here, so we'll have to figure out how to handle that. And the other thing is it has a real description. We don't have yet. So you can just get the description from the sample file. Okay, so here. Okay, and the spacing doesn't really matter because we're trimming the spacing at the beginning and at the end. So we are putting this command. So we're putting the Discord command into our test, so we can try that out. And this is gonna fail because our Discord test is wrong. Yeah, so you could see here that it's cut off. So we need to figure out how to handle that part. So I think we should use strings that join. We're gonna join it. Okay, so we are gonna join it. So we need to join all the strings. I'm gonna join everything that starts from here and on, and we're gonna join them with a dash. Yeah, so a dash. So what we're doing, we're reconstructing. So we only care about the first couple of dashes, everything else we don't care about, and then we're just gonna stream the spaces at the beginning and at the end. So let's see how this one looks. Okay, so print Discord server. Same message. Okay, there we go. It says print Discord server URL. Please join our Discord server dash URL, and then whatever the URL was. So that makes it a lot easier. And then dash update, which is update. Ah, that is weird. Okay, so I am overriding all the cases is being on. Oh, maybe I should just reuse. Yeah, let's do that. So the issue is happening is I have two files that are kind of doing the exact same thing, but it might be better just to reuse. So we are just gonna reuse it. Message Jason. Yeah, so now the way it's gonna work is that it's not gonna be, they're fighting each other. So one is doing one thing and the other one is doing another thing, and that's why they're both fighting. But they should be doing the exact same thing. Okay, so they're passing now. Okay, cool. So the way it works now is that we could add new commands to the chat, and we could try this out here. Okay, we have another. So this one happens when Twitch. So sometimes Twitch will kill our connection. So from time to time, if Twitch is doing some maintenance or anything like that to their chat servers, we will get a reconnect message. And then during that time, we will have to reconnect our server. Sorry, we will have to reconnect the chat server after a certain time. And we're not doing that. So that's why it crashed. So now we have the ability of adding commands. So to add a new command for we could do add cmd and do that files. could take that URL. We could do so my terminal configuration and then the URL. Okay, so that's kind of how I think it should work. So worked. So if we do that files, okay, that works perfectly. So we are now anyone that is in a moderator or myself to add new commands too. So we could also do something like cmd cmd current so for sure, and we could do again, if I restart my this server, all these commands will be lost, but it's a good start. And then maybe on, so I will be streaming Friday. So on Friday, I might just ask support for us to cache in these commands, like saving into a file or something like that, so we don't lose them. Okay, and then we could do CT, and then it returns terminals. Okay, and I wonder if this one still works. Yeah, so all the commands that we just added are part of the help command too. So we just need to figure out how to save them through a restart. So I'm going to save these commands because I want to be able to use them later on for testing purposes. So let me open that up. But it works directly. So like all the different things that we want to do are there. So we are able to add commands directly from the chat itself. So nice improvement. So files. Cool. I think I'm gonna end the stream here and see if there's anyone for us to raid. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for our new subscribers, and yeah, and thank you for the beats too. So let's find someone for us to raid. Second. Oh, cool. So we're gonna be raiding another Miguel. His name is also Miguel, so he's very cool. So let's go find his channel.